Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Look at that beautiful. I hope that this looks as pretty on the phone as it does me looking at the phone.
I know, those rays of sunshine, isn't that beautiful? All that information could be carrying an angel.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, again, an angel is just it's a consciousness. That's simple. It's a consciousness that chooses not to be embodied, but to coach and guide and help from the other side.
So we were doing morning mantras, trying to, figure out a topic, what to talk about today, what to talk about. And a few different things came up. We talk a lot about spirituality. We're always talking about the sun and DNA, but what about some of the other elements, that we could use to our advantage, like the moon and the stars, how those can activate our psychic abilities when we're under the moon and stars. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but at nighttime, when you go out at nighttime without the light pollution, you stand under the stars, do you not just feel completely different? I know I do.
I feel different in each situation depending on the elements that I'm exposed to. For me personally, I'd say, I feel the most tingling and alive around the ocean. But, if I get around the big lake or, a rushing stream, that can, send the senses tingling and bring in new information. It is all relative. We're all made up of these different, but the same elements in different proportions. And each one of us is a unique expression of source, of course. And, we do have the archetypal influence as well that affects each of us in a different way. And that might be heading a little bit off topic. Because Cindy did have some things that she wanted to get across to you guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like to go with the flow too. So if something comes up, it comes up, and that's great. We talk about that too. But speaking of the ocean and water, if you're in a good area, if you go camping, just standing out in the rain, that is so cleansing to the aura. Go for a walk in the rain. And understanding the ocean, how that's very cleansing to the aura too. Salt water, which you can mimic in a bathtub. You can mimic that in a shower too. If sometimes we got to get desperate. You make the salt water and you rinse the body off with that, and then rinse in the shower. So there's different ways we can use the elements if we don't all have access to those elements. I like to look to the trees. The trees are very they help take our negativity, and they want to take our negativity. It's like we are so symbiotic when it comes to plants, trees. Like right now I have my bare feet on the roots of this huge magnolia tree. And I just thinking about that, and I thought, wow, how magnificent is it that the roots go down and they are probably just as big as this tree goes up. And this tree must be like, I don't know, 100 feet tall.
Absolutely. So, again, by connecting to the tree's energy, we can connect to the earth, and we can ground and root ourselves and set ourselves straight if we have been drifting off emotionally, which is very easy in these times. Again, everything about the system that we find ourselves in is all about a distortion, and it's all about interrupting the connection with source and with the mother, which is under our feet and all around us. And we are in this amazing biosphere, which is all about bringing us into harmony and back into balance. Even though it is intentionally imbalanced, we can still find balance when we get ourselves rooted and grounded in nature as much as possible. Yesterday we were doing a lot of different errands, and we were exposed to a lot of different energies, and it's just reconnecting briefly, even briefly, can have a big impact on, again, grounding and rooting us, keeping us from getting too much on the downside of that emotional roller coaster. Avoiding the news for a little bit, and then coming back when you have to. It could be something that you're going to have to do from time to time, because again, the nonstop barrage, the connectivity that we have in this society where we're always connected, it overstimulates us, and it can lead to us constantly being in the fight or flight side of the autonomous nervous system, in which we're always producing cortisol, and we never get a good rest. We never get to de-stress. Mother Nature is here, and she can help us do that.
Oh, she sure can. She sure can. And Mike and I, we have a very strong spiritual practice, and we put that first, but we still have to deal with all of the issues of this very busy world, because we're still a part of it. But we utilize the earth and what she has to offer to help us ground out, to help us cope. You can do things like lean up against a tree and ask that tree if it would please take my negativity and ground it out to Mother Earth and allow her to recycle it and bring it back up to something anew. And to think we were always in that situation where we were a part of the earth. I mean, we blended with the earth, which kind of brings me to the topic that we were watching, Avatar right now. And at first they're showing the people of the forest and how well they work with the forest. They're very symbiotic. And then something happens and the people of the forest have to go to the people of the water. Still the same people, but a very different set of skills depending on where they're at. So they just blend with that Mother Earth. And to know that the very first beings on this planet were very much like those water people. So that was really fun to watch. We haven't finished it yet, but gosh, that show is certainly triggering.
Yeah, again, not to go a little too far off into the hidden history of Earth, but Earth was Tiamat. Tiamat was attacked and was the victim of major cataclysm, from which it had to be basically resurrected by the acts of many different beings, including the Earth itself, or what was Tiamat, in order to bring about a recreation that was not in the all too distant past. And that's part of the big understanding. And what beings came here first to this recreated planet Earth from Tiamat? As far as humanoid beings, they're the ones that we would know as the Lemurians, the Muans, and they were extraterrestrials. Yeah, they were not from here, but they came here and they settled here and made it a go. And the Earth, again, the reason why the Earth is here is to host life, and the reason why there are planets out there, of which there are countless planets. Their purpose is to host life, and again, it's also a learning and growing experience for the consciousness of the planet itself as well.
It is, and sorry, I'm trying to manage the dogs. There's like loose dogs up there. That's one of the problems we're dealing with. But we're going to have, we are going to have a privacy fence very soon.
Well, let's see.
Well, soon meaning a year. I don't know. We got a lot on our plate, but really, getting back to having a lot on our plate and utilizing Earth methods instead of the Western modalities. If you get stressed out, you go to a doctor here in the West, they're just going to prescribe a pill, but it's not going to heal the situation. Your body's going to continue to stress. You're going to continue to have things like major headaches, body aches, pains. And when you're young, you can get away with that for a little while. The body will tolerate quite a lot And then I don't know if you guys have noticed, after you get through a certain trauma, then your body's like, okay, I'm done, I need to rest. And maybe you come down with a flu, you come down with a cold, something major happens, but your body's gonna rest. Well, when you get a little bit older, that you don't get that pleasure anymore. It's like the second you get hit with something stressful, it's like the body says, no, I'm done with that. You're not going to do this to me. Boom, you have some ailment. So deal with your stress. So that's kind of something I've been going through lately. I find it a little bit humorous because, you know, you got to laugh. You just got to.
And these two are really good. In reality, they do come back right away. Of course, we have a fence up here, and neighbors' dogs down the street will go and chase cars. But these two are very good, very, very good kids.
Yes.
They listen perfectly. Well,
They get
close to perfectly.
Yes,
Close to
close to
perfectly. As you see Sassy out there, she's the great white Pahana that rules the roost.
Yes.
So yeah, as we're getting back to what we were saying about Tiamat again, it wasn't too long ago that really happened. And then, what happens, beings that we would call extraterrestrials come and settle. So, they were very intelligent, they were very advanced, and they settled again in the Pacific area. And, these are basically what we would call pretty benevolent beings. We've had many different extraterrestrial species on the planet. And again, we have so many, dead ends when it comes to the hominid family tree. Well, again, because we are a mixing of so many different extraterrestrial species that, this is why you have the difference in the races. This is why you have the apparent differences in sizes from pygmies to giants and everything in between. Yeah.
And abilities.
And abilities too, different, a different set of, slightly different set of abilities depending on your genetics. Again, this is also why they intensely watch genetics. And of course, when you're talking about 23andMe, Ancestry, all these different corporations, sure, they make money off of people that are curious about their genetics, but it's also about knowing who's here, where they come from, and who is going to be a potential issue, because they'll have perhaps a little bit more perceptive ability than some others in knowing that something is not right in this matrix. And again, that's not to say that one extraterrestrial species is better than another. They just have different characteristics. They've grown up and explored things in different ways, and we are again a combination of the physical DNA and also all of our past histories, our past incarnations, both humanoid and non-humanoid as well.
Mm-hmm. And that brings me to the thought of one of those people, little girls on Avatar, how she was really very unusual as far as her makeup was concerned. Not a lot of information is shed on how she comes about, but she does really well in the forest. But then when they go to live in the ocean, she has these abilities to really work with the ocean creatures as well. And they really didn't expect that, because she's a forest person. She shouldn't have these developed abilities. And part of our purpose in spirituality is waking up to who you are. And we all come from a huge amount of different places, but we do have strong points and we do have gifts. And when I say gifts, I mean information that is passed on from ancestor to ancestor to you, that you pass on to your grandchildren. They are gifts. They are different from everyone else's. And in life, one of our duties is to find out which ones are mine and how do I use them, and understanding that you're not going to be good at everything. No one is good at everything, but we're not supposed to be. We're here to help each other. We're here to lean on each other. We're here to, talk with one another and maybe shed a little light on the mystery of who you are. And I'm glad to see that that's coming about, more and more people recognizing their abilities, what they're capable of, and sharing it with others, because that's what it's going to take to get us away from the situation that we're in now, having to rely on a certain control grid.
So getting back to the elemental line of thinking, again, we can be of certain genetic lineages, like and my mother's family were always around the ocean. And then as far as I know of my father's lineage, it's not necessarily the case. It's more farming and mountains and things along those lines. And you could feel the pull to both locations, and of course we will. It's interesting to see, though, whether we're talking traditional Chinese medicine, which they have a slightly different take on the 5 elements, as they include metal and wood, and traditional Western mystery tradition, looking at the elements earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, or if we replace the spirit with Akash or ether. Again, there's so many different ways at looking at the different makeup. And of course, every single different species out there will have a different elemental makeup per se. And again, you can use different techniques to start to control the makeup of your own elements. And like Cindy was saying, getting out in a rainstorm and allowing the rain to wash your aura, or getting into the ocean and allowing it to balance and restore you, or grounding and earthing, standing in with your feet flat on the earth and sinking your roots in, is one of the most basic Qigong techniques that there is. And we could go on and on with these different examples. And one of the ones that Franz Barden, in his book Initiation into Hermetics, which by chance I discovered when I was like 7 years old, the only book in this house that we moved into in the basement, Initiation into Hermetics, was controlling the elements and learning how to control the elements internally. And that's within each of us. And again, each one of the elements has a referring, a corresponding emotion attached to it. So, if you're finding you're maybe too lethargic and you're not energized, get out in the sun. Get out in the sun, put a little fire in your life, and absorb consciously the energy from the sun. I would personally, when I feel the sun on me, especially in the morning, I do enjoy doing the Gayatri mantra, because Savitur, Surya, is in reference to the sun and its life-giving energy. And so it is a blessing, it is said, to wash away negative karma. Om Bhur Bhuva Sva Tat Savitur Bharaniyam Bhargo Devyasa Dhimai Diyo Yona Prachodaya. And just repeating that, as billions of people have over the course of time, you're tapping into an energy current. And that energy current is so powerful. Again, when we tap into a belief system, a construct, when we say certain words, when we resonate certain sounds, we are utilizing certain energies. And whether they are elemental or in intention or not, each one does carry different elemental signatures as well as different frequencies. And when we look to the chakras, each chakra is resonating at a slightly different frequency. And again, we could look at each of them and having a different mix of the elements. As you might look at the root chakra and think very, very earthy. And the solar plexus you might see as a little bit more fiery. Again, everything that we see in creation is derived from the elements, and the elements again are frequencies themselves.
And this is the very true but very unseen part of us that is, I don't know, to me the most important thing, because this is the information that animates the body. This is the information that talks to the body directly to help light our path. When our chakras are closed or they're shut down, that's an indicator of a lot of trauma. This is not good. You have cut off the information that comes to the body so that the body knows what to do to take care of itself. And the root chakra, you know, if you're sick, for example, you definitely want to beef up that root chakra so that your body will get the correct information it needs to help heal itself. So every chakra having a very important action. And I have heard of people having their chakras taken out, and I don't agree with it, and it's not possible, you know, and there's probably going to be people say, sure, it's possible. Well, you can have them temporarily discarded, but they never go away because these nerves and these parts of your body are physically there, and it's receiving information constantly. So, you know, if you cut that part of you off, you're going to be a little bit blinded. I mean, your body's not going to really know what to do. So that's definitely something I do not recommend. I have heard of. I don't agree with it. I think we need to be healthy. We need to be functioning with everything that we were given to function with. And, you know, it's the same as having certain organs removed. I think maybe we shouldn't have that done. There's ways to work around things depending on what has happened, but we don't always have the knowledge to understand to work around certain organs that they just commonly remove. And I think there's something, you know, it just reminds me of the Western medicine. It's a little bit like butchering, and I don't like it. I know that the human body is intelligent enough, the earth is intelligent enough that we can figure these things out for ourselves and get our bodies functioning the way they need to function.
Yeah, I think that whole concept you were alluding to, all you're really doing is just shutting down the chakras, which again is just leading you into a place where you can be manipulated by dark forces, because it's not that you are able to be taken over by entities when your chakras are open. It's the reverse. The cutting off of the chakras is cutting us off from the higher densities. So yeah, that's absolutely, it's just tricks, games, it's schemes, and it's more of the dark system trying to get control of us. There's so much distortion out there. It's just so full of it out there, and you know, it is just part of the control matrix. They want to cut us off from our natural state of being. We went and checked on our beloved sister's house, which is not too far away, and we were greeted by a deer that leapt over a fence like it was nothing. You know, this is nature. Nature is amazing, just utterly amazing when we really look at it, and we are amazing. And the only reason we're quote unquote not so amazing in these times is because of the dark system and how it's trying to always limit us, because it needs to control us. And we're not meant to be controlled. Each one of us is meant to be a unique expression of source. That's the way it's intended. It's not one size fits all. And again, you know, when you go into these positions and they hand you a script and say, do it like this, and if you deviate and show any personality, you get reprimanded. You just know that's coming from a very, very dark place, a dark energy. We should be so thrilled when each of us has a unique take, a unique expression, a unique way of you know, sharing our viewpoint and experiences on the planet. And you know, that will be the case again for those that will, you know, maintain their organic nature as this is such an inorganic world, such a genetically modified world. Again, keep connecting back to source, keep connecting back to the mother. There's reasons why, again, we've been cut off from the mother in every way, shape, or form. Everything we look about with this society is totally the opposite, pretty much, of the way things should be. So we can often find the right way in doing the opposite of what society wants us to do. And again, get out into nature as much as possible and be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And if you're struggling with something and you're trying to do something that it's just not happening, keep in mind you cannot judge a fish by the way it climbs a tree. Maybe you're not supposed to climb trees. Maybe you're supposed to be somewhere else. But it's all about exploring and figuring that out for yourself.
Yeah, and we could go on with a whole nother video on, are you really being yourself, or are you being somebody that society has told you to be? That's a completely other video, and unfortunately most people are not being themselves. They're being who society tells them to be. So again, much love, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.